Wow, this is going to be a challenge. Somebody sent me an image and asked me, how would I retouch skin, but it has a bad red rash? Are we ready for this one? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, this is dedicated to photography and as a photo artist and constantly pushing ourselves creatively out of the box. All right, this is an unusual situation for me, and it sort of brought back some things I've done in the past that has to do with portraiture. And somebody sent me, well, let's do this. Let's jump right into Photoshop here. And a bit of a disclaimer on this image right here. Let me move this over to the side so we can see this. Somebody has sent me this image, low res, requested that their name not be mentioned at all. So that went to my private email address. In fact, by the way, I always encourage this. You can make comments on YouTube, but if you want to, say, ask a question or make a comment, but you're afraid to have everybody else see it, my email address is right down here. It's stephenphotoartist@gmail.com. Please feel free to email me. And this person did and sent me this image here. And to me, this looks like a screen capture. Maybe it's not. I mean, I don't know. I didn't ask where the image came from, so this is for educational purposes. But basically, the question was, how would I deal with this? And it sort of brought back memories of doing a lot of high school senior, and when you're dealing with teenagers, acne is a big deal, and a lot of times it's time for the portrait that's going to go into the yearbook, and here we go. The person, whether it's male, female, doesn't matter. They're all upset because of the way their skin looks, but yet they got to get that picture taken. So what I do is I will sit down, and I have before and after images I can show the client, which really is the parents, right? And so usually I get mom or dad, but most of the time it's mom sitting there, and I will show examples of what it can do, because usually a condition like this is temporary. As they mature and get older, that goes away. And of course, this affects their self-confidence and their image when they see, what's happening to their skin. So what could we do? And so I'll show the before and afters, but what I want to do is share with you four different ways of maybe applying a correction on this, or enhancement, I should say, on this. I'll mention a fifth one. I'm not going to talk about how to do it, and I'll explain why when I get to the end at this, but I'm going to duplicate this so we have a couple copies. We can always do a before and after here. Photoshop, there's not a single way of going from point A to B. There's multiple different ways. So I'll share some different techniques. You could decide what to do. But I think the really core thing that we want to work on here is the redness first, before we work on, say, the acne and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to the Oreo cookie dipped in milk in our layers palette here, right here. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to choose hue and saturation. Now, when that layer opens up right here, what I want to do is when I select this, the properties over here is showing me the properties of that layer I just did, which is the saturation one. I'm going to grab the properties tab right here, click and drag it out like this. And what I want to do is I want to stretch this out for visuals. And this is why I put the picture here on the left. I need to expand this because here's the technique. You're going to see a hand here. Now, we're just working on the redness a bit. So I'm going to click on this. And because this is a very low-res image, the quality of this isn't going to be that great. I wish I had a better one, but this is what I got. I have to deal with what I received here. So when I click on this, it allows me to go to sample a red spot. So I'm going to choose that right there. Just clicking, I'm going to drag to the right a little bit. So it's not picking that one spot. It's just bringing in a little bit more of the different redness. And you can see how this changed over here under saturation. The slider moved, and I'm at +5 on that. Now what I want to do is I want to adjust certain things, because right here it's showing where it's picking up that red, and I'm going to move this slider, which is the hue. I'm going to push that all the way to the right, and it's just for visuals. That's what I want it for. So you can see here, this is the red area, and then below it is that right there, which is the say the cyan blue color that we see. I'm going to pull in less of a selection of the red and play with these little sliders. Move this one, and again, you sort of have to play with this. It takes a while to finagle this, but I'm only going to do this once, even though I'm going to do a method of 4 different techniques. But as I tighten this up, I'm just looking at the face here. Move this to the side. Again, trying to narrow this down. I'm going to move this to right and left. Whoops, not that. I wanted the whole set to be moved. So again, this is taking a while. I need to carefully click in there and slide that and adjust this till I get that region that has a lot of red. I'm using that colors. As I spread this out a bit. So that's the area that's affecting, the redness in the face. That's why I need to see these colors. That's why I moved it there. I'm just going to double click on the hue line. That'll put it back to 0 right here. And now with the lightness slider, I might push this to the right. Let me over exaggerate this. So way to the right a bit. I'll play with the hue a little bit just to try to get that redness out. Now, still the roughness in the skin is still going to be there. I'm more concerned about the color. So again, I'm just playing with this. I might have to move this around a bit. And I'm going to leave that. That looks pretty good right there. And I'm going to resize this. So I'm going to grab the left side, click and drag it over. Put this back to where it was before. And again, you can see that I'm just removing that redness. Now again, the quality of this would be better if I had a higher res image, but again, it's not. It's really sort of blotchy. In fact, if I do this, you can see that this is immediately, let's look at her eye. This is immediately breaking apart. So it's a very low res, again, image. Okay, so not done with that. And what I want to do now is I'm going to select the image right here. I'm going to add a new layer. And this is just a technique called using the mixer brush. I'm going to grab the paintbrush that we see here in the toolbox, click down, we get a little flyout menu. I'm going to choose mixer brush right here. When I choose that, I'm going to go to the very top because I can't remember the last time I've used this brush. So I want it back to the default setting. So if you go to the tool in the upper left-hand corner in the option bar, I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to choose to reset that tool. So anything I've used in the past, whatever, this is back to the generic setting, just like I've installed Photoshop the first time. This is what the settings would be with that tool. Right here, I want to choose sample all layers because I want to work on this layer non-destructively. I don't want to affect the image itself, so I'm going to choose sample all layers. And then right here, where it says flow, I'm going to reduce the flow to around 20. Let's go with close to 20%. I think that should be fine. Okay, with that done, here's the way this works. I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger and make sure it's a soft edge. I'm going to sample her skin right here. So I'm going to hold the Alt key down or Option on a Mac to sample that. And then with a painting motion, I'm just, and I may not do this whole thing, we'll see how it goes, but I'm just blending in. And again, I'm working on all the texture there, smoothing it out. So I'm going to sample that there. And again, this takes a little bit of practice. This may not come out perfect because I'm going to do this fast. I just want to explain the concept and the choices that you have when you're working on, say, some challenging projects like this. So again, just working this a bit, and that might be enough right there. And here's my before and after on that. And also, let me turn this off. If I go back here to this, if I turn this on and off, this is going to affect, like her lips is changing and stuff, and I don't want that, and maybe other parts of the image. So what I should do here is invert that with Control I or Command I at a Mac. And then what I'm going to do is grab a regular paintbrush, and I'm going to do this. I've got it set to 80%, which is fine. I got to paint with white, so I see my chip color here is white, and white reveal. So I'm just painting over this area to bring in that color change that we just did to get the redness out. Again, this is not perfect, but you can see if I turn this on and off, oops, I'm sorry, this layer on and off, there's the redness that we worked on. And I'm masking it in, so it's only affecting this area that I masked. You can see the mask right here. Let me pull up that mask. Okay, and then if I add that blending to that, there's my finished product. Now, I still would do some touch-ups in that, but that's one approach out of 4. So let's take a look at a different approach. And by the way, if you are learning anything, if you do me a favor, and that is please like the video. That helps me Google push this out to other people that have the same interest, because I'm really working hard trying to build up this channel. And it's, again, I'm not monetized at all, so I'm working hard at hopefully doing that, by the end of the year next year. But again, like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and hit that notification bell. Next time I upload a video, you will get notified. Okay, so this is one way. I'm just going to select all 3 layers here, and I'm going to do Control G, Command G on a Mac. That just puts it into a group, because I want to do 3 other methods, because this is all about choice, and this is not about what's wrong, right or wrong. I'm going to turn this off, so we're back to seeing the original background image. I'm going to Control J, Command J on a Mac to duplicate it, and this will be my second attempt at this. And this is going to be using a program called Luminar Neo. And I'll show you a unique way of maybe using this and see how far we can get with this. So to do this, I'm just going to pull this up. You'll find it under the filter drop-down menu. I just create a shortcut keystroke. I have no affiliation with Luminar Neo, but just, as a disclaimer, I was a beta tester for them before this product came out. And as a result of being a beta tester, I did get a hefty discount on purchasing this program. And I've also bought the update. So I paid for this. I'm using it. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use any of these what they call presets or recipes here on the right. I'm going right to edit here in the program. So when I choose that, the interface changes. And if I scroll down these categories toward the bottom, there's a category called portrait. And I'm going to choose skin. And this opens up. And I'm just going to choose amount, slide this over. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm pushing this all the way to the right. Is there any shine to remove? I don't know. I'm just going to push that to the right, and skin removal. So I'm going to add that. And it's just sort of analyzing using a little bit of AI, and it did this to the image. So this is before, after, before, after. Now, we're not quite there yet, so I'm going to not click on apply. What I'm going to do is go to edit. This shows me what I've applied, because if I have applied other things, it would be listed there. Now I'm going to go back to tools, and here's what I get to do in this program. I'm going to go back down to skin again under portrait and apply the same technique on top of the other one I just did. So it lets me like double stack this. So I'm going to push the amount over, and I'm going to push the shine over and skin defect. So let it analyze that. Might be a subtle change there. Okay, and I'm going to click on edit again. I'm sorry, not edit, edit over here. And you can see that the skin applied twice. One there and one there. So you could double stack these, you could triple stack these, but this one I'm just going to leave it alone, double stack, click on apply, let it render out, and let it drop into the image right there. Now I could, it still has a redness and blotchiness there, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to expand this so we can see this. I'm going to grab this that I used before. I'm going to hold the Alt key down, Option on a Mac, click and drag down to place this. What it's doing is duplicating what I just did because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it again. And I'm going to collapse group number 1. And this is my before and after right there. And again, this is something I might want to feather a little bit. Let me apply this and just do some final tweaks. I might, let's see, grab this. I might have to move this slider up, maybe lighten that a little bit. But again, not too bad. I would definitely still do some work. I'm going through this fast because this could be a long video here. So let's do this again, a different method. And so this is using something called a portrait. I'm sorry, Luminar Neo. The next thing I want to do, let me make this a group now, Control G. Just doing the same thing, Command G on a Mac. Let's turn that off. And let's do number 3. And this is probably one of my favorite ones. And that is, I'm going to use a program called Portrait Professional. Let that analyze. I've used this before. I've showed this on my YouTube channel before. I will have the links on Luminar Neo and this product right here. And again, the Portrait Pro. I have no affiliation, again, with them. I bought this. I paid this. I've been using this for years. In fact, this is not even the updated version of it. It's still an older version. I think I'm one version back. I'm going to turn off the shape because it does that automatically. I'm just going to go to skin smoothing as a category right here. I'm just going to hide that. Don't need that. And I'm going to, the master fade, I'm going to push that all the way up. I'm going to around eyes. Let's see what happens if I move that all the way. Imperfections all the way. I don't think she has any thin wrinkles. Fine shadows. I don't see anything there. Remove pores. I might move that up a little bit only because this is a very rough image, meaning it's low res. It's a lot of pixelation in there. I probably wouldn't move that if that was a high res image. And remove grease if we have anything. A lot of times, there we go. I'm gonna push that up like that, and I'm gonna accept that. Now, if there's anything else that needs to be done, there's a touch-up tool right here that I can go here and say I'm gonna, just bring that out a little bit and just with a brushing motion, just fix any imperfections. And again, I'm gonna cut this short on this. I would still play with this, but again, it's just to show you the options that you have. I'm gonna accept this. This will return me back. There we go. And this one, I may not. Let me just do this for the heck of it. I'm going to grab that again, hold the Alt key down option on the Mac, click and drag it down. So it's just duplicating that. And let's see if that really did anything to that image. Let's put it above it. Well, there we go. So again, more of the redness is gone. Maybe push this down a little bit in opacity. You could play with it because, again, every image is going to be different. So that's another technique, and that is number 3. Now, the last one I'm going to do, let's do this again. Let me select those two. Control, again, G, Command G on a Mac to group that, and let's hide group 3. And there's the original image, Control J, and excuse me on that. All right, the last technique is something by a company you've never heard of. Come on, I'm kidding you. It's from Adobe. And somebody even asked me about this. I'm not that big of a fan of this filter drop-down menu, Neuro Filters, and they've got a bit way of going, in my opinion, in Photoshop. There's something here under the portrait category called Skin Smooth. And the problem with Skin Smooth, when I turn it off, it only does a blur and a smoothness slider. That's it. If I push this all the way to the right, and the smoothness all the way, and let it process. I'm going to put this on a new layer. Nope, I'm going to live on the edge, put it on the current layer. And but you do what you want to do. I'm going to click on OK because this is all for demos. And it did a decent job, in my opinion. I would just wish it had controls for other things in it, but it doesn't. It's just basic smooth skinning, smooth skin smoothing. Sorry, it's been a long day today. And again, I would go over here because I did this once already, correct? And I'm just going to hold that Alt key down, option on Mac, click and drag, makes it an extra copy again. Let's close that group and make sure I put that above. I went too far. And I might have to push this one up to about 100%. Okay, there we go. And again, you can play with the settings on this. 3 different ways of doing this. Let me group this again. So Control G, Command G on a Mac, and let's hide this. So again, this one was using the mixer brush technique. This one was using Luminar Neo. This one was using the Portrait Pro, which I like. I think that's my favorite. I use that for a lot of my work. And the last one is using Adobe's technique, which is still isn't bad. I just wish you had more controls in that dialog box. So those are the 4 different ways that I would approach this. I'm sure there's others. And the other thing I want to emphasize is the 5th way, which is slowly becoming less popular. Let's put it this way. And it's called frequency separation. You could look it up on YouTube. There's different ways of doing frequency separation. But what I found out over the last, say, 5 years, because of software technology, people that used to do frequency separation are not doing it anymore. They're using these methods here in AI tools that I'm showing you to make the adjustments for them. Yes, once in a while you may have to use frequency separation if you're doing this, cover for a high-end magazine or something, and you got to do some work on it. You're getting paid to do that, and it takes time. But people are doing a lot of production work, high school senior stuff. Hello, this is easier and a faster way of doing it. So I just found from experience, I've been, asking photographers that have been around for quite a while, do you still do frequency separation for your portraits? And a lot of them are saying, no, not really, because I'm using the built-in AI techniques that are in all these different plugins and softwares. So again, I'm not against frequency separation. I've done it in the past, but I haven't done it in such a long time. Totally forgot how to do it. Maybe I should do that in the future, but it's a dedicated, topic by itself to do it. And again, I find that when I do it, people go, really got to do that? It's easier to do the plugin. So you make your decision. What I'm trying to emphasize here is we have choices. All right. Pick the choice that's appropriate to you. You find it, I don't like to dictate what you should do. You do what you feel comfortable in doing and just beat it to death and get really good at it. So hopefully you've learned something here. Again, let me just quick review here. Number 1, if you want to help support this channel, because again, it's not monetized, please go to buymeacoffee.com/StephenPhotoArtist. The link is right here at the very bottom, and you can go donate a coffee. It's like $3 for a coffee. It helps support the channel. I really appreciate that. Okay, so with all that stuff out of the way, let's do this. Let's get the camera out. Let's get creative. Literally, let's think out of the box. Until next time, see ya.